ready for some football. I don't know about you. Who else could it be but your man Lou? Yeah.
Who else could it be? For me, your man, Louie T. Welcome to Monday Night Football Overtime. Giants, Steelers, two teams going in what feels like opposite directions. It doesn't feel like it. They are going in opposite directions. One team left this game at 6-2. The other left this game at 2-6. So literally, they're going in the opposite directions. Their records are the inverse of one another. The Giants made this a competitive game, though, which is what I thought they were going to do last week against Philadelphia. I can't explain why they didn't run the ball with Tyrone Tracy, why we didn't see more screens last week, why this offense didn't look the way that they looked last week. And maybe you just got to give credit where credit is due to the Philadelphia Eagles defense. But I just don't feel like it was the same game plan we've seen on the road the last two appearances for the Giants. It's like it's two different teams with the Giants, a home Giants team and a road Giants team. The road Giants team, much more comfortable. They seem to have a plan. The home Giants team just looks awful, disheveled, and discombobulated. But enough about the Giants. To the victors go the spoils. And the Steelers, don't look now, and I don't think a lot of people are really truly paying attention to this. Pittsburgh Steelers are 6-2 and lead the AFC North division after the Ravens lost on Sunday to the Cleveland Browns. And so a lot of people were questioning Mike Tomlin's decision last week to bench Justin Fields in favor of the now healthy Russell Wilson. Remember, this was Russell Wilson's job before the season started, and a calf injury caused him to miss the beginning of this season. And Justin Fields took advantage of that opportunity, won the first 3 games of the season, then lost 2 out of 3 games in which he didn't play all that well. He wasn't awful, but he was leaving things on the table. He was leaving points on the field and not putting them up on the scoreboard. And after a while, that becomes problematic. And he wasn't unlocking the pass game. And there were a lot of people, including a lot of Steelers fans that I had talked to, that said, if it's not broken, let's not fix it. Leave Justin Fields alone. And there were some old Steeler faithful who felt the same exact way, including Ben Roethlisberger, who didn't think it was a smart decision to bench Justin Fields in favor of Russell Wilson. Everyone was assuming that we were getting the Russell Wilson that we had seen the last 2 years in Denver. And my whole thought process was, first of all, Russ didn't forget how to play football. I've been defending Russ this entire time when people have had out their pitchforks and torches ready to crucify this man and set ablaze his NFL Hall of Fame career. Yes, I said it. Russell Wilson is a Hall of Fame player. But it was trending in the wrong direction. I said, has there ever been a player that has taken their gold jacket and set it ablaze? Because it feels like Russell Wilson is single-handedly trying to do this in this last act of his career. He needed this sort of retribution, this last chapter of his career. He needed to have redemption. And this is the exact place he needs to be. Now, I couldn't tell you that he was going to come in and play well. But what I could tell you, and this is what I said prior to Mike Tomlin making the decision, because I agreed with the decision by Mike Tomlin. And remember what I told you? I said, look, we know what Justin Fields is. Okay? It's not going to unlock the pass game. He's going to miss some throws. He's going to make some throws. He's going to hurt you with his legs. They're going to be designed runs that you're not going to get with Russell Wilson. On 3rd and 6, he may be able to, extend the play, use his legs, or extend a play, use his arm. In the red zone, he's extremely lethal, and that's how they had scored most of their points this season, is with Justin Fields tucking and running the football. These are all things that he brings to the game, but you're going to miss opportunities throwing the football, whether it's he's not going to take the chance or he is going to be wildly inaccurate, or he's going to throw a flat ball because Justin Fields throws a flat ball. Russell Wilson is the direct opposite. He throws the ball with a lot of touch and a lot of air, and he's going to give you a chance to run under it or go make a play. We saw that last week against the Jets. We even saw it a couple of times tonight. You're just not going to get that from Justin Fields. And so if you really, truly want to unlock the pass game, which in this league, if you can't throw the football, it's going to be pretty hard for you to win consistently against good teams. And so I said, we already know what Fields is. We don't know what Russell Wilson is in Pittsburgh. We don't know what this iteration of Russell Wilson looks like in Pittsburgh. How about we just get a look-see? Can't hurt, right? If he's worse than Fields, you can always go back to Fields. But what we don't want to do is continue down this path with Fields, lose games that you can win potentially because he's not throwing the football effectively enough. You would have beaten the Dallas Cowboys had Russell Wilson started that game, right? Now, I don't think he was healthy enough to play. I think he was still 1 week away. But you would have beaten the Cowboys in that game if Russell Wilson had played. But what we've seen in these first 2 weeks with Russell Wilson as the starter is that he's going to throw the football. He's throwing it very effectively. The run game has come to life because now you have to worry about Russell Wilson, the passer. So now you can't just load up the box and try to stop Najee Harris. Now you can't load up the box and try to stop the run game of the Pittsburgh Steelers, right? Then what also happens is because you have to respect the run game because it's now more effective because you have to respect the pass game. The boot action now works and it's more effective. The first play of the game is a great example. They come out, first play, you're expecting run, get the boot, boom, you get outside, hit Van Jefferson, and we're off and we're running, right? And you can see now there's a belief like you're unlocking George Pickens as a true dynamic number one receiver. You're getting Van Jefferson was invisible. He was invisible the first 6 weeks of the season. All of a sudden, Van Jefferson's looking like a credible number two receiver. Now, all of a sudden, Calvin Austin, who we haven't really seen since the Chargers game, is back alive as a receiving threat. He's also a dynamic special teams player. And so now all of this is starting to come together, and the tight ends are starting to get involved. All right. Washington is now a threat at the tight end position. Not to mention, you got Pat Freiermuth. And we're not even adding into the fact that Roman Wilson still isn't in the mix. So when you look at what the Steelers have been able to do with Russell Wilson in the mix, it dynamically changes how you have to defend them. And if you don't defend the pass against these Steelers now, you're going to get hurt. And when you say, all right, let's go two high safeties to protect against shots down the field, well, now Najee Harris gets to eat. So this Steelers offense, for the first time this season, feels dangerous. Was that pun intended? Yes, it was. He looked sharp again tonight, did Russell Wilson. And the only thing that really stopped them were the penalties, especially early in the game. I mean, he looked fantastic. And another thing that's back now with Russ that seemed to have disappeared when he went to Denver was his mobility in the pocket. He's stepping up. He's moving around. He's extending plays. The touchdown pass to Pickens on the opening possession that was negated due to penalty. It's a beautiful play by Russ to climb the pocket, avoid the rush, step up, move to his right, get outside, and then find George Pickens in the back of the end zone. That's gorgeous. That's vintage Russell Wilson. There was another play where he stepped up in the pocket and avoided the rush and got rid of the football. And I said, that's Russell Wilson. That's the Russell Wilson we've come to know and love. And the throw to Pickens on the sideline in between two defenders, are you kidding me? Down the sideline? The touchdown pass to Calvin Austin, like these are plays that didn't exist in Pittsburgh with Fields. You might get, one of those really good throws up the sideline by Fields or maybe up the seam, but it's got to be on a frozen rope. It's got to be on a line. Fields can't put air on the football. It's not his thing. Russ is going to give guys an opportunity to run under the football. Russ is going to give guys an opportunity to go up and make a play on the football like Van Jefferson did at the end of the third quarter, right? It wasn't the greatest ball, but he gave him a chance, and Fields wasn't doing that. And I said that last week against the Jets. Fields wasn't giving his receivers a chance. Russell Wilson is giving guys opportunities to make plays. And as a receiver or a skill position guy, that is all you ever ask for. Just give me a shot. He's not putting the ball in harm's way, although he did have the fumble tonight at a very crucial juncture of the game. But he's not putting the ball in harm's way. He's not turning it over for the most part. And this offense doesn't have to be super dynamic because they're so good defensively. They just need to be able to score and score more than 15 points, score more than 18 with 6 field goals. They just need to be able to put 24 to 27 points up on the scoreboard, and that defense most weeks going to make that stick. And with Russell Wilson under center, it feels like that's attainable week in and week out. More so than when Justin Fields was in the lineup. So this was another game where I was very impressed with the Steelers offense because I was hypercritical of this offense when they lost to Dallas. You remember, I said, get this 1970s bullshit out of my face. This 3 yards and a cloud of dust offense. Who's doing this and who are you beating doing this shit? Like, what good team are you beating doing that? You can win 9 games doing that shit because you play such good defense. Then you're going to get to the playoffs and you're going to get smacked around and be gone out the wild card weekend, which is what has happened to these Steelers. Now they got a shot. If this continues. And I have no reason to believe that it won't. But it's 2 straight really good performances by Russell Wilson. Now, I will say it's come against 2 really awful football teams. Now, both of those teams are no slouch defensively, but they're not good teams overall. And so I really want to see what this looks like when the Steelers start playing better teams. And that's going to start soon because they got divisional play starting here in a bit due to the Steelers. And I can't wait to see what that looks like. It's been a while since I've anticipated Steelers Ravens. I'm going to anticipate that this year. I'm really looking forward to it. Cincinnati's dead. They're not any good. This is a 2-team race in this division, similar to the NFC East while we're on the subject matter, right? Generally, it's a 3-team race, but it's really 2 teams. It's usually Cincinnati and Baltimore. Pittsburgh just kind of off the radar, off the grid just slightly. Nobody really takes them serious as a divisional winner threat. But the Ravens are going to be there. They're not going away. Cincinnati's cooked. They can't stop anybody defensively, and they can't stay healthy offensively. And they miss Joe Mixon, too. Who are we kidding? They're not getting enough from the run game. So it's just those 2 teams in that division. It feels similar in the NFC East with Washington and Philadelphia, and Dallas kind of feels like Cincinnati in that division. And so it's going to be interesting to see what happens when we get those matchups. And I wonder, normally we get one of those on primetime. I'm assuming we're going to get one of those. Thanksgiving sounds about right. I got to check the schedule and see what's going on with those 2 teams, because generally we get one of those, if not both of them, in a primetime setting. But I'm looking forward to it this year for sure. Defensively, this team is always better when Alex Highsmith is healthy. When he was out, you still got contribution from, always forget that guy's name, from, I want to say he's from Wisconsin. He was really playing ball. He got hurt against Dallas though. But there just has to be someone opposite of TJ Watt. And Highsmith is that guy. It felt like he was unblockable at the very beginning of this game. And then Watt closed the show. But you know where the biggest improvement has come with this Steelers team is in the secondary. Obviously, they've upgraded the linebacker position, with Patrick Queen and with Wilson. But trading for Dante Jackson was a very underrated, move that not a lot of people talked about. And they love what they're getting out of Joey Porter Jr., but Dante Jackson has been the X factor for me. Him and the rookie nickel that had the 2 picks against the Jets have really come in, and they've fortified the cornerback position for them. There have been years where the Steelers just couldn't cover. They kept trotting out these old-ass veteran corners, whether it was Joe Hayden on his last legs or it's Patrick Peterson on his last legs. Felt like if you were an old-ass corner and you wanted one last hurrah, just go to Pittsburgh. They'll give you a shot. Ike Taylor was 96 years old playing at the end of his career. Felt like Deshae Townsend was like 102 years old. We know Joe Hayden was like 98, and Patrick Peterson, Lord have mercy, he was like 206 when he got to Pittsburgh. And I'm like, when are y'all going to actually invest in a young corner? And they finally got Joey Porter Jr., and then they said, all right, enough of this shit. We're going to actually give you a road dog, somebody opposite of you. And that's made all of the difference in the world. I like that group that they have of Joey Porter Jr., Dante Jackson, and Beanie Bishop. He's been playing really well. So I like what they're doing defensively. And this team is really good. I said this a couple of weeks ago when they lost to Dallas, a few weeks ago before Russell Wilson got in there. I said, this team isn't any good because they can't score points. And if you can't score points in this league, you're not going to win very many games. And if you do win enough games to qualify for bonus football, when you get to the playoffs and you play against teams that can score, you will lose. And the way that they were going about their business, they weren't going to win very many games against quality opponents. Well, things have changed just that rapidly by inserting Russell Wilson into the starting lineup. Feels like a different team. The special teams has been outrageous this year. This was the first game in the last four, where they didn't block a kick. They had blocked a kick in 3 straight games. Who does that shit? They got me nervous as hell for our matchup. We got a kicker that likes to kick the bitch low and likes to kick dirt instead of the ball some damn times. And I'm like, they definitely blocking one against us. It's incredible what they're doing on special teams. They block punts, they block field goals, extra points. Now they're returning punts for touchdowns. I mean, this is a really good special teams unit. You add that into the defense that they play, and now an offense that can actually score. And sky's the limit for this Steelers team. That punt return was the difference tonight. They won this game by 8 points, and that punt return, when this thing was deadlocked at 9 and neither team could find the end zone, and there was a lid on the end zone, that punt return took the seal off of the end zone. It gave the Steelers life, and it allowed them to open up that 2-score lead, ultimately getting a field goal, going up 19-9, and then ultimately winning this game 26-18. They're dynamic, man, in a number of different ways. And I like what this Steelers team is doing, but I want to see them, my final test for them now that I feel like they can actually move the ball and be prolific offensively. I want to see them against quality opponents. Matter of fact, let's check the schedule and see what the next couple games looks like for the Steelers. So ask and you shall receive. They are on a bye, are the Steelers, this week coming up. Come off the bye and they get the Commanders. It feels like we're playing every team in the league coming off of a bye, right? That's what it feels like. Jesus. The Bears just came off of a bye. Next week, we have the Giants. Then we play the Steelers. They're coming off a bye. After, I think that we have one more team that's coming off of a bye after that. You're like, wow, feels like we get everybody fresh off of a bye. But Steelers have a bye, come off the bye week. Then they got the Commanders. Then they have the Ravens after that. So that's the game I was looking forward to. Ravens, that's at 1 o'clock. So it's nothing special there. Then they got a quick turnaround Thursday Night Football against the Browns. Then they play the Bengals. Then they got the Browns again. Then they got the Eagles. Then they got the Ravens. Then they got the Chiefs. So shit's going to get real at the end of the season. We're going to find out just how good these Steelers are once we get down the stretch. I mean, they got a little pocket here against the Commanders and the Ravens. And then, family business is always tough. But it gets really real when it gets to Eagles, Ravens, Chiefs. 3 out of the last 4 games. 3 in a row, but that's going to be really interesting. And the Chiefs Steelers game is on Netflix. Interesting. Very, very interesting. So we're going to find out a lot about the Steelers here very shortly, and we'll see if they can navigate. But they got a dynamic offense and defense, it feels like, and special teams. Let's not call their offense dynamic. They have a competent offense, something that they didn't have and haven't had for, it feels like, a very long time. They got a competent offense, a dynamic defense, and dynamic special teams. And you can win a lot of games with 2 out of the 3 phases being dynamic. As for the Giants, I mean, what more can I say? Really don't have much to say about the Giants, other than they were really competitive tonight. And I was expecting this iteration of the Giants last week. We did not get this iteration of the Giants last week against the Philadelphia Eagles. And again, maybe some credit needs to be given to Philadelphia for that taking place. But I just didn't think the game, even Bad Dog said he didn't think that the game plan reflected the same team that went out to Seattle and won. And I don't really know why it looks like a totally different team. But they played a lot better tonight. They ran the football. Tyrone Tracy, my guess is he went over 100 yards. People keep telling me that you can't run on the Steelers. And then every time I watch the Steelers, somebody's running on them. The Cowboys had a good night rushing the football against them. And Tyrone Tracy had 145 yards rushing tonight on 20 carries. Like, don't tell me you can't run on the Steelers. Because every time I watch them, someone's running on them, right? In this type of setting. So Tyrone Tracy, I don't understand how, let me see what he got last. Maybe I was tripping. Maybe he got 20 carries last week. Maybe he got 18 carries last week, and the Eagles just shut him down. Felt like he only had 7 or 8 carries last week, which made absolutely no sense. He had 6 carries last week for 23 yards. I don't understand what the hell they were doing last week against the Eagles. But he had Tyrone Tracy in the Seahawks game had 18 carries for 129 yards, right? That's over 7 a pop. In the Bengals game, he had 17 carries for 50 yards. So not a great average. They really shut him down that day, but at least he had 17 touches, right? 17 carries, rather. In the Eagles game, he had 6 carries, and then tonight he had 20. I just don't understand what happened. What made them get away from that? But he was fantastic. It's unfortunate because I think he sustained a concussion, and on a short week, with a quick turnaround against Washington, all signs point to him probably being out, which is not a good sign for them. But Devin Singletary's healthy, but he's no Tyrone Tracy Jr. That's for damn sure. I really like this kid. But Daniel Jones looked a lot more competent, especially in the first half. Thought the pressure started to really get to him in the second half, but they had the screen game to kind of slow the rush down a little bit in the first half. He was getting the ball out of his hands quickly. I'm like, this is what I thought we would see against Philadelphia. I don't really understand what they were doing. But in the second half, they kind of got back to that drop back stuff, and he was holding on to it too long. And that's when the pressure started to get to him. And you kept waiting for the mistake. You kept waiting and waiting and waiting for the mistake. And it never really happened until he fumbled the ball in the fourth quarter. And that was a great play by Bobby Okereke to get it out from Russell Wilson after they had just scored the field goal on the previous possession to cut it to a 1-score game. They needed a stop, and they get the ball back immediately. And now they're in a position where a touchdown and a 2-point conversion, ties this ball game up. I know people are going to kill them for that 2-point conversion play that they had. It was so terrible because it's a microcosm of the Giants season, right? Ill prepared, nobody's ready, the ball snapped, and they got 5 guys out there, and the one guy that's out there just splits the entire wall that they have set up for Malik Neighbors, and he gets walloped before he even catches the ball. And that's the Giants in a nutshell right there. Too many weeks, too often they seem ill-prepared, and they get walloped before they even really get a chance to get started. And that didn't happen tonight, but they have too many self-inflicted wounds. They had some really good play. Both teams had some good plays negated by penalty, but I think the Giants might have hurt themselves a little bit more with the penalties tonight. But that's been a season-long thing for them. They've had drops. Malik Neighbors had another drop tonight. And could it have been a better ball? Sure, but that's a ball he's got to catch. And so it's just too many mistakes on their part, too many errors. They benched Deonte Banks tonight. He stinks. I love dudes that talk trash, but don't back it up. I called him. I told you I called him friendlies, right? He's soft serve ice cream. Or was that Trayvon Diggs? Both of those dudes are really soft, right? Don't really want to tackle anybody. Trayvon Diggs is a former wide receiver, so he kind of plays the cornerback position with that same kind of mentality. He really don't want to hit you. And Banks is the same way. Deonte Banks, all mouth, all talk, don't really want to hit nobody. And they benched his ass for Greg Stroman, of all people. How fitting that was. So the Giants have issues. Drew Phillips has been playing his ass off all season long. He got cooked tonight. I mean, he was getting worked over in that slot tonight. And that's been my thing with Drew is like, how good are you at covering? Because you're tackling your ass off this year. Like, they can't throw screens to your side. They can't run jet sweeps. Nothing can come to your side without you being nosy and busting the shit up. But can you cover? And I question that. And tonight, and he's probably been really solid this season covering too. But tonight was not his night. And he struggled mightily. And the Giants overall, they just struggled mightily. I thought they would be able to get a little bit more pressure on Russ. Didn't really happen. And maybe you credit Najee Harris in that run game for, not being able to get a ton of pressure on Russ. And I also have to credit Arthur Smith for moving the pocket, a number of boots and different actions to get Russ off the spot and move the location. But I thought that there would be more pressure. This is a Steelers offensive line that has been in shambles, feels like since week 1, right? You're playing musical chairs up front. And I thought there'd be a little bit more pressure on Russ, but they had their moments, but it wasn't consistent. So all in all, they competed. I mean, that's what we've been reduced to with the Giants is, hey, they competed. But if you're a Giants fan, this is what you want. This is the sweet spot right here. You want to compete, not embarrass yourself, but ultimately you want to lose. If you're a Giants fan, this is the recipe right here. This is the formula the rest of the way, right? Compete. Don't quit on the head coach so it looks bad and then you feel like you got to do something rash. Compete your ass off. Come close. But lose. Like that's what you want to do. Nobody wants to get their ass shredded and lose by 4 touchdowns. That's not fun. That's how our shit looked last year. But it was all worth it if you look at where we are now, right? But most fans don't want to go through what it takes to get you one of them ones. And if you want to be in a position to get one of them ones, you got to pay the cost. And the shit ain't cheap, and it definitely ain't free. It's a steep cost. Whether you're going to take the lumps and lose a bunch of games and get your head bashed in, and that's the old-fashioned way, or you're going to give up a boatload of draft picks to skip to the front of the line and do it the unconventional way. Either way, it's going to cost you. Which price are you willing to pay? If you're the Giants, you suck ass. You might as well go the conventional way and just get your brains, bashed in every week and just take your lumps. So we'll see what happens. To me, this is the formula if you're a Giants fan. Be competitive, hang in there for 4 quarters, and just lose the game. Yeah, the Hail Mary attempt at the end. That's what you want every game to look like. Right there. Your heart had to be in the pit of your stomach when Bobby Okereke forced that fumble, because you were now right within striking distance. Even if you didn't come away with a touchdown, you could have kicked the field goal. You still had all 3 of your timeouts. And now a touchdown wins you the game, right? That forced fumble by TJ Watt at the end, you were like, no late game heroics, no foolishness. Let's just get this shit over with, right? That's the move if you're the Giants. So let's get to Inside the Odds, brought to you by BetUs. We'll talk a little shop, and then we'll come back on the other side and get to the comment section.
Inside the Odds.
So, World Series 3-0 now. Dodgers look like they're on the brink of closing up shop. NBA season starting to get going here. We're in week 2 of the NBA season. College basketball is going to start up next week. College football is in the dead heat of their season. NFL, pretty much same deal. It's that time of the year. Hockey's going. BetUs has you covered, man. Up, down, all around. You looking for a book? Even if you ain't looking for a book, but you betting, give BetUs a spin. Fastest payouts in the industry. Get up to 10% back on your net losses twice a year as long as you're active for a 6-month period. And then here's the big kicker. Use the promo code YouTube150 to get you 150% off your first deposit of up to $2,000. Your next 2 deposits up to 125% off of that $2,000 deposit when you use the promo code YouTube150. That applies to new users only. Let's take a look at BetUs's odds for this game. Steelers were 6-point favorites. They covered the spread, obviously winning this game by 8. The over-under on this game was 37.5, which surprisingly the 2 teams cleared. I thought I would have taken the under. I had these 2 teams combining for 36 points. I thought the score was going to be something like 20-16, 26-10, that sort of thing, right? So I didn't see them going over the 37.5 total, but the Steelers did what I thought they were going to do. They scored 26, right? That's what I thought, 26-10, 20-16, something in that neighborhood. The Giants were the surprisers here, scoring 18 points, pushing this total over the 37.5. So good for the Giants, man. Look at them scoring some points, going out of their comfort zone and doing a little something. But here's the fun stuff when you with BetUs right here. These Monday specials, I love them. All right, so let's take a look at these Monday specials. First one up was Daniel Jones to record 125 passing yards in each half. Let's see how many yards he had for the game. 264, so there's a chance to see if he did do that or not. Let's see if Daniel Jones did that in the first half. Let's see. See if Daniel Jones. See Daniel Jones. We gonna do some math here. Daniel Jones, 43 yards. Daniel Jones, 5 yards. That's 48. Daniel Jones for 7. That's 55. All right, so that's 55 on the first drive. See what Daniel Jones did on the second drive. 55. Let me put it in the calculator too, because I don't want to forget and mess up my count. So he's at 55 right now. Short pass, So no play. That one doesn't count. Another, this time he had an 8-yard pass. So that's now 63 yards. And let's see, that play didn't count. Short pass to Malik Neighbors for 10 yards. Now we're at 73. Then he had a 5-yard pass to Malik Neighbors. We up to 78 on a 4th down. Touchdown nullified, no play. And you had a legal formation, so that play didn't count. Incomplete pass, and then you punted. So then we had incomplete pass. So no yards on that possession. And then the Giants had a field goal drive. Let's see. 36 yards to Tyrone Tracy. Uh-oh, we're getting close. 114. Let's see. Damn, bounds. 11 yards. There we go. 125 right on the head. Then another 5 yards. So we at 130. That's 130 in the first half. Then another 3 yards. That's 133. How much did he throw for? He threw for 264. Yeah, he did it. He threw for 125 yards or more in both halves. He had 133 in the first half, and he had 131 in the second half. So if you would have played that special, put down 100, you would have won 350, right? You put down $10, you won $35. Hey, look at Daniel Jones out here trying to bless y'all. All right. So now Russell Wilson and Daniel Jones combining for 500 passing yards. Ooh, another 3. This is 325 on the money line. Let's see. 278 plus 264 is over 500. So they did it. That's another one you could have hit. Plus 325. Look at that. Who knew, right? Daniel Jones, Russell Wilson, over 600. They did not do that. Okay, so things get a little bit more harder. That money line goes up a little bit. Steelers to record 6 sacks. I don't think they made it to 6. They got to 4, so that one didn't happen. Giants to get to 5 sacks. I know they didn't get to 5 sacks. They got to 4. TJ Watt to record more than 1 sack in 1 sack or more in each half. He did not do that. He did not have a sack in the first half of this game. He did have a sack, 2 sacks, matter of fact, in the second half of this game. He had gone 2 games without a sack, and he did not get his first sack in this game. If I'm not mistaken, he did not get his first sack until the second half of this game. Let me see. I could be wrong about that because I remember Alex Highsmith spin move. He didn't get to him, but it flushed Daniel Jones, and TJ Watt cleaned him up. Was that in the first half or in the second half? Let's find out. Let's see. I think that was on the possession they had to punt. No, it wasn't. Let's see. Maybe it was one of these field goal drives. Felt like the sack might have even pushed him out of field goal range. I think that was this first possession of the second half. Yeah. Daniel Jones, no, sacked by Hightower. Sacked by TJ Watt. Yep. So he didn't get any sacks in the first half. It was both sacks were in the second half. So and then George Pickens and Malik Neighbors combined for over 200 receiving yards. I think that might have happened in this game, though. I think that might have happened. Let's see. Neighbors had 71. Pickens 7. Nope. Thought Neighbors had a little bit more than that. Pickens had 74. Neighbors had 71. So they don't combine for 200 yards receiving. But these were a lot closer than normal, right? These were a lot closer. And especially the Russell Wilson, Daniel Jones hitting for 500, which that happened. And then Daniel Jones having 125 yards passing in each half. That happened as well. Interesting stuff. Anyway, big shout out to BetUs for sponsoring this stream. Let's get to the comment section and see what you guys have to say. If you're out there, you want your comment read, super chats are the way to get that done, to ensure that your comment is read and reacted to on the air. But if you are out there and you want your comment read, use the hashtag LouieTLive, and I will respond to your comment if it is pertinent and time permits. We got a little bit of time on our hands, so we will get to as many comments as humanly possible. But we start the night off with my guy, Emperor Meech. Thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you, Emperor Meech. Right. Daniel Jones is like Thanos. He's inevitable. Where's the dudes who love that contract like your boy Bad Dog? So I don't know if Bad Dog defended him because he played well in 2022. But Bad Dog was never a massive fan of Daniel Jones in his defense. But their hands were tied because they didn't get the Saquon. This is what I'm telling you what Bad Dog would tell you, right? Because he's explained this to me multiple times, and it makes sense. After that 2022 season, when you made the playoffs, you went to Minnesota, and Daniel Jones arguably played the best game of his career, and you won on the road in the playoffs versus the Vikings. You felt obligated to run it back. And they really just wanted to franchise tag him to see if that was a mirage or if he could duplicate the success he had in 2022 under Brian Daboll. The problem was you didn't get a long-term deal done with Saquon, and that's what was supposed to happen. Saquon didn't sign, and, the two sides couldn't get on the same page, whatever, it happened. And so you had to franchise tag Saquon, and in doing that, you then were put in a position where you had to do something with Daniel Jones. Now, the Daniel Jones detractors say, no, you didn't. Just let his ass walk away. It's hard to, if he were playing like he had played the previous years, or he's playing now, or the years since the contract, yeah, it would have been easy to say that. But the 1 year that he kicks ass, plays at a high level, and wins you a playoff game is the year he was coming off of when he had a decision to make. So it just so happens. I get it. I understand where you're coming from. You never wanted to give him the money. He hadn't done enough to earn it. They didn't want to give him the money. They were apprehensive. They didn't have a choice, is what they'll tell you. The worst thing you can do in this league is not have a quarterback. And you might say, well, shit, we ain't got one. We got Daniel Jones. Well, coming off of 2022, he'd take you to the playoffs. He had won you a game. They thought they had a quarterback, not maybe the quarterback. We had a quarterback. Guys get paid in the league all the time, but he says, y'all going to eat this shit. Give him an extension as well. This is well-deserved. This is it for him, obviously. And like I said, this was the best case scenario. If you're a Giants fan and you want change, this is what you want. Competitive football where you play close, but you lose at the end. This is what you want. The ones that are tough to stomach are the ones that happened last week against Philadelphia. Those type of ass whoopings are demoralizing. Even when you want to lose, no one wants to be embarrassed. Trust me, I'm speaking from experience. We got a lot of embarrassing ass whoopings last year. Not fun. Losing when you need to lose, fun. Okay, that's a bit extreme. Losing is never fun, even when you want to lose. But it's for a greater purpose. Losing when you want to lose in a manner that's respectable makes you feel good about losing. Makes you say, all right, I hate this feeling. I hate losing. I hate rooting against my team, but I know it's what's best for us. Getting your ass whooped in the process of trying to do what's best for the organization, that shit sucks. No fan wants to go through that. Emperor Meech, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Double up. Thank you for doubling up. Who writes, No, let them sit in purgatory for 10 years. I feel you. I know you're not happy, but trust me. And look, I don't know if this is the draft that you want to stink to be all the way up at the top for. I personally don't love all of these quarterbacks, but I'm gonna be open-minded to Cam Ward. I'm not a massive Cam Ward fan, but I do recognize there's talent there. So I'm gonna watch him a little bit closer. And Shador is a talent, but he is not my cup of tea. He is self-absorbed and he is pampered and privileged. And that is not the guy that I want running my operation. But we'll see. We'll see what happens. Playing well, and they're winning games, and that's important. Anyway, I digress. Steel City says, not getting my hopes up, but maybe this is the year we finally win a playoff game. You were the one that infamously and famously said, I'm sick of this shit. I don't want to win. I don't want to go to the playoffs. Hell, at this point, I'm ready to move on from Tomlin. I don't hate Tomlin as a coach, but it's the same shit. It's Groundhog's Day, and I'm over it. And I was like, Steel City, is it that bad? And you were like, yes. And then I saw the shit, and I was like, oh, you were right. So if you believe, because I believe now, if you believe, then we on the same page. I think we see it. Kevin, the PRF says, almost had another last-second miracle. Psych is Daniel Jones. No, that got picked off by Beanie Bishop. Of course we weren't going to have another one. Oh, Kevin, you're a hoot. Divine Ducare writes, take that victory lap on Banks. Absolute bum. Also, I'm terrified for the Steelers game. Well, again, we got them in 2 weeks. I hate that they have a bye week before they get us, but that's going to be another fun game. Another one of those games to kind of see where we're at. We'll find out a lot about who we are, but we got to take care of the Giants first, right? Ain't no overlooking the Steelers or overlooking the Giants to get to the Steelers. We got to take care of business, and the Giants are the next order of business at hand. So that's where I'll be at with mine. Sean Blake writes, they need to PED test Najee. He looks way bigger than he has the last 3 years. I can't explain it. He's always been huge, man. I don't know. He was big. He to me, looks like he's the same damn size he was at Alabama. Nothing has changed to me, but you might be more familiar with his body size and type and all of that. Maybe he has put on some weight. He looked like the same damn Najee Harris to me. So there's that. Red Wing 01 writes, these are our next two opponents. All right, bet. Giants due for a good belting. Respect the Steelers, but don't fear them. Facts, right? Like, I look at them like another Chicago Bears. Really good defense, outstanding special teams, but an offense that leaves a lot to be desired, but has the talent to be dynamic. The big difference here is they got a veteran quarterback that if we ain't on our P's and Q's, Y's and Z's, he'll light us up. He's not Caleb Williams, but he's also not escaping the pocket like Caleb. And if we can get pressure on them from a defensive line standpoint, like we did Caleb, we'll get more sacks because he ain't running away from shit. So there's also that too. But he was one of those dudes, as we saw tonight. You give him an opportunity one-on-one, you try to get over aggressive, come after him, and he gets one-on-one on the outside. He's going to take it, and he might not miss. He didn't miss tonight. Samuel S. writes, Aaron Judge is like Dak. The difference is just is a better regular season performer than Dak, but he's worse in the playoffs than Dak is. I don't know if you can say he's a better regular season performer. I mean, yeah, he had that home run season a couple of years ago, but Dak has been pretty good in the regular season. throughout his career. Both of them don't play well in the postseason. That's a fact. That's a fact. Nate Herbig, thank you. Nate Herbig is the big brother. The little brother is, I don't remember his first name, but Herbig. He played really well while Highsmith was out. And as long as you got somebody opposite of TJ, those boys are pretty dangerous indeed. Commissar Brown says, hopefully DQ will get our players to play this game like a playoff game, because this win will surely have us a lot for the playoffs unless the wheels fall off afterwards. Look, just keep stacking wins like bricks. That's all you need to do. Don't concern yourself with what's going on around you. Don't concern yourself with, obsessing over the P word, this or that. Just win as many games as you can. If you keep winning games, they can't deny you, right? They can't deny you. Just keep winning games. Next week is another opportunity to add another tally mark in the left-hand column. So do it, right? Commissar Brown says, now remember we took over what was that Cardinal Stadium. I see no reason why we shouldn't be able to take over theirs this weekend, being so close, and they suck. One thing I can say about Giants fans is they're passionate, and despite the product being awful, they still show up. I mean, by that time, it feels like the Yankee season will be over. They got nothing else to look forward to. I mean, sure, you go to a Knicks game, but Knicks season just started. But if the weather's nice, I can see them coming out and supporting. If the weather sucks, maybe they won't, right? But they ain't got shit else to do. So I think they're going to still be there. Yeah, no, Okereke definitely rocked Russ. Like, obviously he has a helmet on, but he hit him in his head for sure. Like, he definitely punched him in the face. Like, he definitely rocked his ass and the football. He boop, and then just hit the ball, and that shit came out too. But hey, those punches be aggressive as hell, right? And they don't always hit the ball. Commissar Brown. That Pickens TD catch reversal was crazy. I get you need to get both feet down, but he did a damn hopscotch with the same foot, LOL. You know what's crazy is I thought you could do that. Touch the ground with the same foot twice and it still counted. And I learned something tonight. You can't do that. Because I thought I saw someone else do that and it counted. But clearly that was not the case. You have to get the other foot down. So now I know. Right, because I was like, yeah, he got 2 feet down. I mean, it was 1 foot, but he did it twice. Like you said, he hopscotched. Anyway, let's see. DJ23 writes, damn, I wish we had a TJ Watt. That strip sack should have sealed the game. Yeah, it should have. Isn't that a great luxury to have? Like, that's what he does with the game on the line. That shit right there. It seems like every time. And I can't for the life of me understand how with the game on the line, you single up TJ Watt. In the fourth quarter, on every drop back, I'm probably going to double team him on every, like, even if I've been giving him single coverage, here and there throughout the first 3 quarters, we get to the fourth quarter when it's winning time, he getting double every single snap. And might even see a third offensive lineman depending on how they rush and what my guard doing. But you getting tackled and tight end, pretty much, if that tight end ain't staying in and doubling you, he getting a mean piece before he get out, and that guard better be ready to help. Unless they got somebody over the guard, and at that point, the center need to be looking at TJ Watt ass. If he ain't got no, green dog, or he ain't got somebody blitzing in his gap, like, it ain't TJ Watt not wrecking the game. And every time we get to the end of the game, TJ Watt turn that corner, and he's wrecking the game, it feels like. DJ23 writes, man, we need to bring the brooms out this week and sweep the Giants. Facts. Don Return says, stuff like that don't happen to the Commanders. To see it with my own eyes is crazy. Been a fan my whole life, never expected a playoff win, but I feel like this year it could happen. Yeah, this season feels like more than just a trip to the postseason. This doesn't like we haven't won a playoff game since 05. That shit feels like it could come. A lot of things feel like they could come to an end this year. Haven't won more than 10 games since 1991. That shit feels like it could come to an end this year. Haven't won a playoff game since 05. That shit feels like it could come to an end. A lot of things feel like they can come to an end this year. So we haven't won a home playoff game since 1991. That also feels like it could come to an end this year. So, haven't played in the divisional round of the postseason since 2005. That feels like it could come to an end this year, right? Haven't played in the NFC Championship game since 91. Not sure if that will or not, but that could come to an end this year, right? So a lot of things could come to an end this year, but we got a long way to go. I bleed Giants blue, writes. Beautiful game. Lost but didn't get embarrassed. Hopefully the same thing happens next week. I need a new QB. Well, I want the first part of what you said to happen next week, but I also want the other part because we didn't get to embarrass you the first time. And it was too many Giants fans walking out with their chest stuck out talking that shit like y'all couldn't get this work because we kicked off field goals. Oh, if we had a kicker, like I want to leave no doubt this time. So that whole no kicker conversation can get put to rest. So I'm looking for some BTA action this week. Absolute BTA action. So after this, you can go back to playing games close and not winning. For all I care. This week, I need a good old fashioned passionate ass whooping, and you getting your shoes, coat, and your hat taken. Yes, Nick Herbig. Thanks, Casper the Barbarian. Casper the Barbarian says, "Gonna be a fun race to the finish line." Yeah, it is. I agree. I'm looking forward to it as well. I really, truly am. Really looking forward to it. Man, this shit really feels different, Lou. Now it's time to go sweep the Giants. Hashtag HTTC. Big facts. Kevin the PRF says, I picked the damn Giants again. No mas. Everybody picked the Giants. Like, you don't have to worry. That was the last time the Patriots show up on the schedule. So won't be too many more times we picking the Jets. And watch, as soon as we stop picking their ass, they're going to start winning. But I'm willing to take that L now. Like, the only reason we picked them this week was because they were playing the worst team in football or one of the worst teams in football. But now they're one of the worst teams in football. So there's that now too, right? Sovereign Legacy. Thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Sovereign Legacy writes, man, Lou, we get the Steelers after their bye. Then a short week to Eagles on Thursday. Geez, can we get a break? LOL. I'm down though. Look, my thing is, if we can just find a way to navigate this stretch coming up, we got to take care of the Giants first. If we can just find a way to get through that stretch, we get a pseudo bye, which this team desperately needs because we haven't had a week off yet, right? And we haven't had any kind of pseudo bye because we haven't had any prime timers other than the Monday night, and that made it a short week, right? The next week it did. So if we can find a way to navigate that stretch and remain relatively healthy, that pseudo bye is everything until we get to our actual bye 3 weeks after. So I think the players, it's going to be tough. Steelers going to be a physical game and then a quick turnaround to the Eagles. But if you can find a way to navigate that, you're going to feel so much better after that whole stretch, right? So much better. So get it done. That's the key, right? But one at a time. It's Giants this week. We'll worry about that bridge when we cross it. We'll worry about that bridge when we cross it. Cesar Mayo writes, You know what's annoying? In a group chat of friends growing up in PG County of like 8 or 9 people, I'm the only Commanders fan. How old are you? That'll tell the story. If you're like 24 years old, Cesar, guess what? Those other 8 or 7 or 8 friends of yours didn't grow up in a winning atmosphere. So it was easy for them to say, I don't want to be a damn Redskins fan. They suck. I'm going to pick a different team. Nobody likes rooting for a loser. Like most of us, we didn't choose this team. The team chose us, or our families chose the team for us. Not in my particular case. You know, I'm a big believer in, hey, whatever I see first, that's what I'm attaching myself to. That's how I became a fan of most of the teams that I root for. All except one. So most people either grow up and it's ingrained in them, right? Or you grow up and you say, I want to root for a good team. I don't want to root for a losing team. Most of your friends are probably in that age range where they ain't never seen a winner in Washington, which is understandable. I get it. Comasel Brown writes, are you surprised like I am that the Bengals and Dolphins are so bad this year? Not on the Dolphins because Tua got hurt. There's an excuse built in there. But with the Bengals, I am definitely surprised that they're this bad. Absolutely, I am. I didn't see this coming at all. Very surprised there. Marquell Randall. Thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Marquell writes, the game against the Eagles is going to be good. I really wish it wasn't Thursday night. Short weeks can be tricky to judge. That's right up our wheelhouse. I'm glad it's on prime time. I feel like we play some of our best games against Philadelphia on the road on a big stage with bright lights. The only thing that sucks, like you said, is it's a short week. And with Jaden dealing with all that he's dealing with, you would like for him to have a full week's worth of rest and recovery and, treatment and things of that nature. Because I don't think that situation is going to fully heal until he gets time. But he's a gamer. And as long as it doesn't get any worse, he should be fine. But boy, those 10 days off after that Eagles game is going to be excellent. It's going to do wonders for him. And anybody else dealing with any nagging injuries, lingering, like Brian Robinson Jr. and his knee, Cleveland Farrell and his knee, and Nick Allegretti and his ankle, like guys that got those nicks and bruises, those 10 days off are going to be lovely for them. We just got to get to that point, but one at a time, right? And the next one up is the Giants, right? So we'll see what happens. Don Return writes, we crossing teams off the list one by one, slowly but surely. If you're on that list, you getting this work. By hook or by crook, you getting this work. Kevin the PRF says, Jets suck so bad you demoted them to the Giants. Look, man, both of them stink. They occupy the same building, right? And they both stink. They got the same record. They both have the same damn record. They both trash. John Wynn says, should the refs be accountable for no penalty calls? No, I mean, of course, if it's a blatant penalty, it needs to be called. But my thing with the referees is always the same and it never changes. I just need you to call it equal on both sides. If you're not calling anything on either side, cool. Right? My problem is when you're calling the penalties one way and you're not doing it the other way. That's when I have an issue. If it's egregious on both sides, cool. It sucks for both teams. If it's a bunch of penalties being thrown and it's on both sides, okay, cool. If you calling a tight game and you calling it tight on both sides, cool. But what I don't like is if you're calling it tight on one side and then the same shit's happening on the other side and you're not throwing the flag. That's when I have an issue. That's when I have an issue. Because it's up to the players to adjust, right? Like, I liken the officials to the strike zone in a baseball game. Like, you know what a ball and a strike looks like if you're a hitter. You know what's in your zone and what pitches you like to swing at, and you know what you like to stay away from. And you might not like the low strike, and you might not like offering at the low strike, but guess what? If this umpire is calling the low strike, you're going to have to take a hack at it, even if it's just to waste that pitch. And you got to foul it off so you can get another pitch that you can handle that you do like, but you can't let that low strike go, right? That the umpire the day before wasn't giving pitchers. This umpire is giving the low strike, or he is giving the high strike, or he's giving the inside plate. So you got to adjust. Same thing in a football game. If you see that the officials are letting you play aggressive and they're not throwing a flag, then when in Rome, do as in Rome, right? Don't complain about it. Get physical. And vice versa. If they calling it tight and you see that early on, all right, keep your damn hands to yourself. Swaggy P, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Thank you for being a member of the MOBB. My guy, Swaggy P, writes, watching the Giants on primetime is torture. I think we only have one more time to have to do this. This one wasn't as bad. Like, this was one of their better performances. And they weren't terrible against the Giants, but against the Cowboys, excuse me, but it wasn't a fun watch. But yes, they're not fun. They're not a fun team to watch. I agree. And we got them one more time. And you know what? That one might be really fun because at that point, Dallas' season could be over. The Giants' season is already over. And we could be watching 2-0 burger teams take on each other on Thanksgiving. And that'll make my damn heart smile. That might be fun. Even if for one day the Cowboys get to feel good again. It'll be really refreshing if we get to that game and the Cowboys are like 4-8. That'd be great. And it's possible. I doubt it though. They might be 5-7, something like that. I don't see them being 4-8. Even if they 5-7, shit's over. Sovereign Legacy. Thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Double up. Thank you for doubling up. Sovereign Legacy writes, also, I want to admit, when they played, when that play happened, I shed a tear. I'm 43. Crazy times we are living in. Celebrate. You're not the first person to tell me that you shed a tear with that Hail Mary. I lost it. And I got a special show coming up tomorrow for you guys. A couple of special shows, in fact, to kind of commemorate the Bear Trap and AKA the Washington Walk-Off. And I can't wait to do it because one of the things I've enjoyed the most is seeing all the different reactions, seeing the different things that transpired on the field, whether like I seen a split screen of Jaden Daniels and the play, because he literally described it after the game of, I didn't see the catch. I didn't know it was caught. I literally heard the roar of the crowd and I looked at the sideline and they were going nuts. And that's when I knew. That's what he said after the game. And so when you watch the split screen of the play, he launches it and then the catch, he is just standing there. He doesn't know. And then he hears the crowd and then he sees the sidelines going crazy. And then he goes, and then he does this with his helmet, loosens the bitch up and then runs over to the sideline. There's the Bears and he's going like this. And then he takes his helmet off and he's talking shit to the Bears sideline. And I loved it. Then they had the split screen of DQ and the play. And you see DQ, he's on the sidelines and he's watching the ball in the air. And then he sees it get caught. And then he like loses his shit and he doesn't know. Like, and he described it. He's like, I was like Jim Valvano, right? Jimmy V, may he rest in peace. When they won the national championship versus Fly Slamma Jamma, and he runs onto the court after Lorenzo Charles puts in that missed shot. It was a missed shot. They call it alley-oop. It was a miss. But he runs onto the court and he doesn't know what to do and he doesn't know who to hug and he doesn't know how to be, right? And that's how DQ was. He's just running around. And he's like, and then Frankie Luvu is like the first person that really contacts him. And he, but he pushes him away. And then the next guy comes and then, he hugs him and he pushes him away. And then the next person comes and then it's Terry and he gives him a big hug. And then Adam Peters comes and is a really big hug. And I'm just like, it was great to see all of the different, reactions to it. It was cool, man. I really, that's probably been the most enjoyable part is just the reaction. Cause I know how I reacted when it happened. And I explained it to you guys already. It was crazy. The last thing I was thinking about was crying, right? Shedding a tear. I was so excited, I'm surprised I didn't lose my voice. I couldn't. It's like I lost control of my body for about a minute and a half, because literally all I was doing was jumping and screaming. And even in my mind, I'm like, bro, stop jumping and stop screaming. And I couldn't stop because I was like in total disbelief at my mind had already reconciled that we had lost the game. So it was like trying to reprogram itself, like, oh my God, this just happened. And that'll never get old, man. That'll never get old. Crazy times we are living in is right, Sovereign Legacy. I literally just got back from the grocery store. I'll tell you a quick story since it's on my brain right now. The reason why I was getting to the stream a little bit late is because I went to the grocery store, right? I was watching the game on my cell phone while I was at the store. Had my earbuds in. I'm watching the games while I'm shopping, right? Because I told my wife I was going to go to the store, and if I didn't go now, I wasn't going to go. So I'm in the store, and one of the ladies, she's stocking the shelves, and I said, "Hey, good evening. How you doing?" And she's like, "I'm doing well." She said, "I like your hat." I had on my Washington beanie. She said, "I like your hat." I said, "Thank you." She said, "We looking good." I said, "Yes, we are." I said, "We got us a quarterback." She said, "Yes, we do." She said, "Man, I'm feeling really good." I said, "You and me both." I said, "It's been a long time." She said, "Yes, it has." Then I met another dude that was stocking in the back of the store, and he was like, "Man, you got the wrong hat on." So I knew he was a Cowboys fan. He said, "Man, look like y'all got a quarterback." I said, "We got one of them ones." I had to correct him. I was talking to an older black lady, so she don't know what one of them ones means. We got a quarterback. This is a younger white dude. No. We got one of them ones. Let me correct your ass. We got one of them ones. Okay. So I had to let him know we got one of them ones. He's like, "Yeah, I like RG3, but they ran him into the ground." I wanted to correct him, and I was like, "Nah, not worth my time. Right? I'm not gonna go down that road with you." So I'm like, I just told him, "This ain't that." And I just left it at that. Then he started bitching about Jerry Jones. He's like, "I hope he sells it to him." Like, come on, bro. That ain't how. He said, "At least hire a real GM." I'm like, "That shit ain't happening either." He's like, "Yeah, I know." I'm like, "Sucks to be you, buddy." Enjoy your night. Man, it feels good. Feels like I'm living in some type of Twilight Zone, right? Cowboys fans want to be us. We want to be us. Everybody wants to be us. Except for Eagles fans. They envy us. They hate us. Because they're not us. They see the greatness on the horizon, and they trying to hold it back, but they can't. It's a great time we living in, man. Marquell Randall, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Double up. Marquell writes, "The NFL really said this year, you know, what game should we play in Germany? Giants versus Panthers. That'll really get the Germans into loving football." Yeah, man. Like, this is the thing, too. You really don't want to take good games out of the States. If you notice, most of the games that are over there are bad games. It's the Jags and the Patriots. Who gives a shit about that game? It's the Jets and the Vikings. Who cares about that game? Nobody thought the Vikings were going to be good this season. That's why they had that game over there. The Vikings just happened to be good, and the Jets happened to be playing well at that time. They were fresh off of a 2-game winning streak at that time, if I'm not mistaken. So it ended up being a good game on paper, but they put the bad games over there that nobody wants to see. Because you don't want to give away good home games. Like, no NFL owner wants to sign up for giving away good home games, right? 2, while you want to put a product over there that's going to get the fans in that country like captivated and turn them into football fans, you also don't want to take really good product off of American soil. It's not like you're not going to see Ravens Chiefs over in Germany. They're not doing that. First of all, the Chiefs are like, don't take my game at home against the Ravens away from me. That's a pivotal game. That could be the determining factor between me being the 1 seed in the AFC or me being the 2 seed in the AFC. Don't have my shit played in Frankfurt, Germany, right? You're never going to see that. It's always going to be games with lesser teams that they don't think are going to be very good, because then you don't have to worry about, is this impacting that team's chances to make the playoffs or have a high seed in the playoffs, that sort of thing, right? If that makes sense. So you're going to see Giants and Panthers, 2 teams that they thought were going to suck going into the season. Jets and Jags. Well, the Jags play already over there, and they knew the Patriots were going to stink, right? Patriots play over there almost every year now. When they had Tom Brady, they weren't playing over there all the time, unless they were playing a team that sucked over there. Yeah, let me trot Tom Brady out there. He's a pretty popular name. Like, people know that name. Let's send him over there. But I hope that makes sense. Anyway, I digress. And DQ was pushing the shit out of people too. That was funny as hell. All talk all the time, right? How amazing does it feel to see Terry McLaurin 4th in receiving yards, Lou? Feels amazing. It's been a long time coming, and he deserves this, and we knew what he was capable of, but we also knew it wasn't going to happen. He was never going to be unlocked and unleashed until he got the right play caller and he got the right quarterback. And now he has both. And my advice to you is enjoy it while we have it, because don't know how long we're going to have Cliff for. And while JD5 is one of them ones, so no matter who's calling the plays, he's going to be dynamic. It doesn't matter who calls your plays. I mean, Josh Allen is one of them ones, and he was struggling a bit because they didn't have the right guy calling the plays, and Ken Dorsey, and it hurt him. It hurt him bad. That's why they had to get rid of him. I didn't necessarily love the way they did it, but can't argue with results. Can't argue with results. So I love it. I love seeing Terry in the top 5, getting some of that love, and we just need the consistency, and we've been getting that. Now the next step is, can we get 17 in the end zone consistently? And that's on him. That's on him. He's got to pick his goddamn feet up. Anyway, Shay Robinson says, are we getting a film breakdown this week? You sure are. Like, that's a mandatory thing. You get a film breakdown every week. The only reason we didn't do it last week is because NFC Super Friends stream moved to Wednesday, and because I had to move that to Wednesday, I had to do my Commanders show on Tuesday. And the film, remember, I was going to do the film that night. I went to do the film, and there was no Commanders film. They didn't have the all 22s available till Wednesday, which is crazy because they normally had all 22s available on Monday. And it was only 4 games that they didn't have the all 22s for on Tuesday night. And we were one of the 4 teams, or 4 games, which was crazy. But like I said, I had asked everyone in the video last week on CNN, if y'all want me to do it, just say so and we'll do it. And only like 2 people even responded. And one person was like, nah, I'm not really tripping off of it. If you do it, I'm going to watch. Rich was like, not really tripping off of it. If you do it, I'll watch. And then somebody else was like, yeah, I want it. But 2 people responding, and one of them saying, nah, I'm good. Don't worry about it. I ain't tripping about it. That ain't enough. So I was like, all right, bet. Ain't nobody really checking for it then. So this week we'll get back to business, though. We'll get back to business this week. Mr. Pink, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Mr. Pink writes, my $100 bet on us to win the Super Bowl looking spicy. I really wish I would have put down some money for us to make the playoffs and win the division. That's my only regret. I thought about, I ain't gonna even hold you. I thought about a couple of weeks ago putting us down for the number 1 seed in the NFC. I thought about we still were a sizable underdog there, right? The odds were pretty good, and would have been pretty good in my favor if I wanted to slap down some money. And I thought about it, but I didn't, and I'm regretting it because we got a legitimate shot to be the number 1 seed in the NFC. Probably not going to happen, but we got a shot, man. We got a shot. Really beat myself up over that one, but you live and you learn. Anyway, I digress. All right, that's going to do it. Let's get out of here. Steelers get the win 26-18 over the Giants. Had opportunities to really put the Giants in a bind early, but couldn't get out of their own way with penalties and mistakes, negating, opportunities to score touchdowns. George Pickens not getting his foot down, penalty on the first George Pickens touchdown. Just finding ways to have to settle for field goals and allowing the Giants to hang in there. Coincidentally, the same thing could be said for the Giants. They had opportunities to score, and they had, a Tyrone Tracy touchdown negated due to a penalty, I believe. They had a touchdown to Manhertz, the tight end, and I called him Megahertz. Manhertz, and that was negated due to a penalty. And I'm still not sure why that was a penalty again. Like, I didn't see 2 people moving. I don't know. Maybe I was tripping. I mean, Aikman seemed a little bit befuddled. So did I. Like, why did he need to stop again? If I get it, if 2 guys are moving at the same time, then you have to come to a complete, stop. But he was the only guy in motion. Nobody else shifted. Nobody else moved. And I know they ain't talking about, Slayton on the outside pointing to the official to make sure that he was on the line of scrimmage. Like, come on, bro. What are we doing here? That's probably the same official that told Terry he was good on the line of scrimmage against the Giants back in 2022. And then as soon as the play went, he threw the damn flag. Probably the same damn official. It wasn't, because that was a brother. That was a white dude who did it tonight. But still, craziness. Pure craziness. Anyway, I digress. Steelers special teams comes through. Big return for the touchdown by Calvin Austin. And then Russell Wilson really started to get in his bag and started to hit some big plays down the field. Najee Harris over 100 yards. Both run games were really effective and efficient tonight. Tyrone Tracy over 100 yards. Unfortunately for the Giants, he sustained an injury, probably a concussion, and that didn't look good. He was walking to the locker room late in this ball game. Najee Harris went over 100 yards in this game rushing, and Russell Wilson finally was able to get the Steelers into the end zone and put this game out of reach with this touchdown pass to Calvin Austin, as the Steelers win this game 26-18, improved to 6-2, sole possession of first place after the Ravens fell to the Cleveland Browns in one of the upsets of week number 8. Meanwhile, the Giants now drop to 2-6. And how many losses is that in a row? They beat, the last win that they had was against the Seattle Seahawks. So it wasn't that long ago. Their first win came against Cleveland in week 3. And then their last win came, 3 weeks ago? They lost to Cincinnati and Philadelphia. So now this is their 3rd consecutive loss, dropping them to 2-6 on the season. So that's going to do it for me, your man Louie T, here on this installment of Monday Night Football Overtime. I want to give a quick shout out to BetUs for sponsoring this stream. If you haven't already done so, check out BetUs. They got their new prop builder up and running. You can put together your own prop bets. You got an inkling, you got a hunch that something's going to take place. A couple of players are going to really have success in this particular game, and maybe a couple of players won't. You can build your own prop bets to make your vision come to life. Head over to BetUs. If you're a new user, you could get 150% sign-up bonus when you use the promo code YouTube150. 150% sign-up bonus on your first deposit of up to $2,000. 125% sign-up bonus on the next 2 deposits when you use the promo code YouTube150. So that's going to do it for me, your man Louie T. Mario Delstit, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Thank you for being a member of the MOBB. Mario writes, hope fam as well, Lou. Likewise. What do you think about the Landover miracle since only disappointments has happened in this stadium? HTTR for life. I've been very clear. I want nothing to do with miracle. Nothing to do with miracle. I want nothing to do with Hail Mary. I think they're going to force Hail or Mary in there somewhere because of who we are. One of our slogans, raise Hail, Hail to the Redskins, Hail to the Commanders, whatever. So they're going to try to force Hail in there, which I get. But I don't want anything to do with miracle. I'm totally 110% against miracle. I don't want miracle anywhere in this. We already got a miracle, the Monday night miracle. I don't need another miracle, right? So Hail, fine. If you're going to force it in there, just make it good. But I'm sticking with my 2 that I heard that I love, that I'm going to continue to roll with: the Bear Trap and the Washington Walk-Off. I like those 2. I don't think either are going to stick, but that's my story, and I'm sticking to it. So we'll see. This thing will eventually get a name. But until then, I'm sticking to my guns. That's going to do it for me, your man Louie T, here on this installment of Monday Night Football Overtime. Until next time, I'm your man Louie T, signing off. You guys take care. Have a good one. God bless. And good night.